going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's Pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, and this is your pre-Thanksgiving, if you live in the States, otherwise November 24th, 2021, AEW Dynamite review. First and foremost, I want to start off with two quick things. I don't usually do the house cleaning anymore because the house cleaning was an NXT review thing. I actually did an NXT review last night for the first time in a long time. If you guys want to go check that out, it's up and available now. I do want to send a quick shout out to all my American friends. I know a lot of my followers, viewers, people that I talk to on social media, etc. are from the States. I know you guys are having Thanksgiving. We had our Thanksgiving a month ago. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Hope you're all doing good. Hope you're all able to get out and see some family, some friends, do some festivities, etc. and just enjoy the day however you wish. The other thing I want to hit on, and I'm going to hit on it for the next little while, I've brought this show to Rumble, so if you're not following me, Spaz Phoenix on YouTube, if you're not going to a podcast platform and searching Spaz Phoenix Podcast over there, head on over to Rumble and look up Spaz Phoenix Podcast over there because they wouldn't let me use the name Spaz Phoenix. Now, there's no like button over there. On Rumble, you literally hit the Rumble button. Still figuring that shit out. I've only got 2 videos up there so far. I sort of reposted the Survivor Series video, which was kind of pointless, but that was more of a learning thing. And then last night's NXT review went up. And if you didn't catch the NXT review, basically I did a review this week. I might do a review next week leading into War Games. War Games looks like it's going to be fun, and then we'll see where we go from there. I'll get Jake on when I can. Same with AEW. I'll get Guapo on when I can. Same with FlixFix. I know Hawkeye started tonight. I'm not going to be watching it till probably the weekend. We'll try to get Kristen back for that because I've sort of dropped the ball on the whole FlixFix thing. But, yes, the NXT episode of AEW Dynamite starts off with CM Punk versus QT Marshall, which is, you know, normal and by the numbers, is it not? Oh, wait. CM Punk comes out because we happen to be in Chicago, and there's 2 guys. I want to say this too before I get started. This is going to be all over the place, sorry. The people that are using their own headcanon, the people that are saying, well, there's 2 guys that we know are from Chicago and they've got an issue in real life, they're gonna have a conflict tonight. Didn't happen. Spoiler alert. Now, we saw it with Becky Lynch and Charlotte recently with the tossing down of the belts before their match at Survivor Series, Raw. I do think AEW, and here's where I'll give AEW a lot of credit. AEW gives you enough story to chew on. You don't have to inflict real life onto their stories. You don't need to do the Punk Cabana thing on the AEW stage. If they decide to do it, if they are real life okay, and they do manage to do sort of a Matt Hardy Edge thing, manage to put the professional hats on and do something in the ring, cool, I will definitely watch that, but my bias is going to be towards CM Punk. Obviously, but it doesn't need to happen, and the people that are building it up, well, they're in Chicago, and they're both from Chicago, and we know they have an issue, so they've got to run into each other at some point. No, they don't. They got to do what the story says they're going to do. They got to fight the fight that's on the card tonight. I hate to break it to you like that, but what we got here was much better anyway. CM Punk's out for his match with QT Marshall, which I'm not going to lie, I wasn't exactly looking forward to. There are much better things for CM Punk to do this time, like have a debate with MJF. Now, MJF last week was cutting a promo, was interrupted by CM Punk. He went to introduce himself, shake his hand, hey, my name's Maxwell, etc. Punk laughed at him and walked away. Here we have the follow-up to that. MJF comes out, and initially it starts off pretty lame, I'm not going to lie. Starts doing what everybody does to CM Punk. Calls him Punky Brewster, which was really lame, and he did that quite a bit. He says, all you are is the pipe bomb. It's funny that you're straight edge because you look like a meth addict. You never named me when you were on all those podcasts because you didn't want anything to do with me. You quit wrestling like a bitch. You made fun of his UFC career. Punk just sort of... I love that Punk is the guy that's known for talking, and in AEW he sort of sits back and is way more effective by not saying anything and just letting other people talk their shit. But eventually, he does grab the mic. He does say that he's disappointed in MJF. He didn't know that it meant my jealous fan. He says, I'm not going to mention you on a podcast because I'm not going to feed your ego, but I do know that there is a poster of me on your wall. Last week I managed to shut you up without saying a word, and now you've come up here, you've had a week to work on it, you've had a week to work on all your jabs and insults, and all you've done is grab the low-hanging fruit, which makes you a less famous Miz. And we were off to the races. MJF tells him he's nothing but nostalgia. You showed up here and you struggled with the weakest pillar of AEW. He does what I've sort of been saying. He sort of makes fun of the just happy to be here Phil, and he does the whole robotic, I'm sure happy to be in fill in the city. I'm sure happy to be here in fill in the company. I'm sure excited to face fill in the competitor. And that's not a lie. I'm just saying. He says, you're getting old, you're getting gray, you're not what you used to be, maybe you're the one that needs to go to sleep, you're not hungry anymore. He calls him PG Punk, tells him he might as well be out here talking about hustle, loyalty, and respect. I was like, oh, it's getting good. Why don't you leave again for 7 years and make more comics that nobody will read and movies that nobody will care to see? He tells him he's the second best. He's always been the second best. He makes sense that he's the second best because he's from the second city, and he fell second to Mr. You Can't See Me and the King of Kings. Punk tells him he talks too much, which I always love because Punk's known for talking, and he says you can't back it up without backup. That soundbite alone, you can't back it up without backup, is something that could be used so many different places in wrestling. I'm surprised we haven't heard it before. He talks about the four pillars, and he says you spend so much time talking about the four pillars, you don't realize you've been replaced by Britt Baker, which got a huge DMD chant and a huge CM Punk chant. He talks about why Chicago is really called the Second City, which I didn't know about. Apparently the city burned down and it was rebuilt on its own ashes and all that sort of thing. I don't know the lore of Chicago. I'm sorry, I live up here in Canada. It's a thing. But he says, I'm happy to be number 2 and be associated with the Second City and all that sort of thing. And he says, well, you're not number 1. You don't have a title. You don't have a belt. You're not headlined and stuff. The only way I love this. I love this because everything they've done, both of them, is taking jabs at WWE. And I would love to nail AEW to the wall to this because AEW as a whole lean on this way too much. But these guys are the guys that, if you're going to do that, these are the guys you get to do it. The only way you're going to be number 1 is if we wait so long and you marry Tony's daughter. I'm like, fucking brilliant. Just fucking brilliant. And they're about to go to blows. MJF bails, and this is how you start. This was the first 20 minutes of the show. This is the opposite. This is the remedy to the problem that people have with WWE. And I don't necessarily mind it in WWE. It's functional. It serves its purpose. The opening promo train, the trail of interruptions, etc. I don't mind that particularly in WWE because it's functional to a fault. It does exactly what it needs to do. Nothing more, nothing less. This is the best version of that. MJF came out here and said, here, we're going to make the highlight of the night, by the way, just as you're getting ready for your match. Now, unfortunately, coming back from the commercial break is we actually had to have that match. And it's CM Punk versus QT Marshall. Punk owns him for most of the thing. The only time Marshall gets any offense on him whatsoever is when his dorks on the outside get some interference, some 2-on-1, some 3-on-1. Quickly eliminated by, I think Aubrey Edwards was officiating this match. It becomes obvious right away that, QT Marshall's a placeholder anyway. I don't like QT Marshall. It is what it is. The match is basically Punk having some fun. Punk going up on the corner and doing the 10 count with his hometown crowd and all that sort of thing. But what it also did was it gave the commentators... You want the commentators to tell the story of CM Punk. Unfortunately, to fill that time, you have to put something on the screen. So this is the match that's on the screen. What we're watching is Punk versus Marshall. What you're building is Punk versus MJF through the voices of the commentators, which did a pretty damn good job of that until enough of the story had been told. GTS, Punk gets the win. It is what it is. I will say QT Marshall, he's there to be a jobber. He's there to be, if I was going to borrow an Adam Nicholas expression, he's there to be tossed around like an empty tracksuit. And he does that well, and he manages to do it like we're expecting it. Like, him losing doesn't lose him anything. I don't care about him, but I recognize that role. You got to appreciate people that are willing to fill that role. Christian is in the back with Jurassic Express, and he's bragging about how his friends are number 1. He talks about how Jungle Boy now technically has 2 wins over Bobby Fish, which is good. He's going to lead them to a tag team title reign or a tag team title opportunity. It's a little backhanded compliment-y, because he's giving them their props, but he's like, I'm going to lead them to the tag team championships. It really makes you wonder, because this is a trio, and where is Marco Stunt? Not that I want to see Marco Stunt in matches, but he just sort of faded out of the group. It is laying the groundwork for eventually there's going to be some sort of split between these guys and Christian, and that's going to be fun. I suggested in a chat, I will say, if you're watching Dynamite and you want a watch-along show to watch along with, go check out Greg Morgan, aka Good Mic Work, and watch his Dynamite watch-along, which was what I was watching, got along in the chat, etc. How do you guys feel about Christian Cage going after, definitely not winning? How do you feel about Christian Cage being the next challenger to Sammy Guevara's TNT Championship? I want to see it. I'm very curious what that match would look like. Christian's not what he was 10 years ago. Obviously, Sammy Guevara has proven time and time again that he can cover up stuff like that. He's great. Christian will help him along in whatever he's missing. I think that'd be a hell of a match. I think you can save that for a pay-per-view. If not, Winter is Coming, which is coming back again on the 15th of December, I believe. If not, put it on New Year's Smash. Don't put it on New Year's Smash, though, because I'm going to be at a WWE house show that night. And yes, it's WWE, but we haven't had any mainstream wrestling in Toronto since COVID. So I'll take what I can get. Impact, I'm looking at you. AEW, I'm looking at you. Come to Toronto, I'll come to your show. It's as simple as it is. Eddie Kingston is in the back because he's going to face Garcia on Friday, on the Black Friday edition of Rampage, which I think is really... I always think it's funny when I hear that, because I was always of the impression that all Fridays matter. But that's just me. They talk to him, they say, hey, we got out of hand the other week, and we read your article. Apparently he's written some article about his life and his career and all that sort of thing. I haven't read it. Apparently it's really good, etc. One of them mentioned something about you couldn't be there for your buddy Mox, and then they throw a hot coffee in his face. And they're idiots, pretty much, and they're going to get their ass, or at least Garcia's going to get his ass kicked. I think Kingston's just going to kill all 3 of them. Remember when these guys all came along and they decided to challenge Kingston, Mox, and Darby Allin to a trios match and didn't think they were going to die? Oh yes. Want to talk about that? Want to talk about that great trios match? That was a great tag team match. You know what I don't give a fuck about? You know what I couldn't be paid to give an abacus rat lizard fuck about? The Gun Club versus Bear Country. Now, don't get me wrong. In its heyday, you couldn't find a bigger DX fan than me. I'm a fan of Billy Gunn. I saw Billy Gunn a couple years ago at a Destiny show. Yes, check it off your Spaz Phoenix bucket list. Yes, the dude is fucking gigantic. There are pictures of me meeting him all over social media, etc. I don't need to see him wrestle in 2021. It's him and his 2 sons. So why wasn't this tag match against the 2 sons? And Bear Country are just there. There's nothing wrong with them, but they're kind of like what the Viking Raiders were reduced to when they came into the main roster in WWE. Viking Raiders in NXT, back in good NXT before it was Rainbows and Fireworks NXT, were really good. They were a fun powerhouse team. They were a bit crazy, and then they got rejected to just, hey, 2 big guys on the roster. Bear Country barely, pun intended, fit into that category on AEW. And that's really unfortunate, because there's nothing wrong with what they do. They go in there and they're power guys, and I know a lot of people out there do like them, and I don't have anything bad to say about them. I just don't have anything to say about them. So you put them in there with the Gun Club, and one of them is Billy Gunn and the other son is on the outside. There's nothing for me here. And the Gun Club get the win, which is fine. The third gun on the outside pulled some shenanigans. I wasn't even paying attention. But the post-match assault by Darby and Sting. And the post-match assault was really good. You got Darby coming out of the babyface tunnel like he was shot out of a fucking cannon. And he's great, because he's Darby Allin. But this tells me that Darby Allin and Sting's next big feud is with the Gun Club. And that is heartbreaking, folks. He's gone from CM Punk. Sorry, he's gone from losing the title to Miro So I don't know what he quite did after that. He had a thing with the Men of the Year, and that was kind of weird. Then he was called out as the debut opponent for CM Punk. Then he had his Pillars match with MJF and lost, fair enough. And now he's fighting the Gun Club. I'm sorry, but what the fuck is that? AEW, you've built a guy. This is a guy on your show that's not an ex-WWE guy and not one of the bosses, and still managed to get himself a push and a title. And you've got him fighting the Gun Club. No. No. Just no. For some reason, Adam Cole and Bobby Fish are arguing with the Best Friends. They don't like Wheeler Yuta's name for some reason. They ask Chuck where Trent is, or Trent where Chuck is. I don't... Fuck if I know what their names are. Orange Cassidy steps up to Adam Cole and says, yeah, you're going to pay for this disrespect. He just stood there in front of, I don't know. I will say, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, there's two things I want from AEW next year if they pick up the talent that we all think that they're going to pick up. I want Eddie Kingston versus Kevin Steen. I've only known Kevin Owens. I've only known NXT, WWE, Kevin Owens. And yes, I'm sure a lot of you could tell me down in the box below, yeah, go check out this match, go check out this match. Go check out the ladder match with El Generico. I know, I get it. What I want right now is to be introduced to Kevin Steen immediately feuding with Eddie Kingston. That's what I want. That's the one thing that I want. That's what you put on the mid-card of my dream AEW pay-per-view right now. But you know what I really want? And I don't think I'm going to get it because I don't think the alignments are going to go this way in the storyline. I want a 9-man tag. 3-on-3-on-3. Cole, Fish, and O'Reilly versus Hangman and the Bucks versus Omega and the Good Brothers. Give me that 3-way trios match and I will be a happy guy. Also, side note, I didn't see the pay-per-view, but I saw the headline. Not only is Bronson Reed in Impact now, but Bronson Reed came after my boy Josh Alexander. And Josh Alexander takes us back to the Destiny conversation, because I'm going to Destiny Wrestling's Zero Fear in December as well, where he's defending his title against PCO. Now, I know PCO is apparently from ROH. I've never seen PCO. I don't know anything about PCO. If any of you watching, you guys know I lean on you a lot. Tell me what I need to know about PCO. Tell me what I can expect from PCO. Tell me what I can expect from PCO versus Josh Alexander for the Destiny World Championship. Oh, yes. Now let's bring it back around and go to the back. And yes, Lio Rush is free to actually do cool shit now, because Dante Martin has signed a contract with Team Taz for reasons. Dante Martin is becoming the Naomi of AEW. Blandest, good in the ring, I guess, if you want to say. Athletic in a company where everybody's athletic. High-flying, young, exciting in-ring guy in a company that's full of those with zero personality, bland as fuck, and I don't really care. And you're going to keep partnering him with this person and this person. I know his brother's injured or dealing with stuff or whatever. I'm not taking the piss out of that. But they teamed him up with Matt Sydal, and then they teamed him up with Lio Rush, and now you're going to put him with Team Taz, and eventually some kind of rub is going to rub off on this kid and make me give a shit. Makes me feel like I do about Naomi over on SmackDown. They've teamed her up with every person that was ever at a high point. They've teamed her up with Paige. They teamed her up with Becky Lynch. They teamed her up with Carmella in that brief period of time where people were actually giving Carmella her due, and now they're wasting Sonya Deville and Shayna Baszler on another failed Naomi push. This is very much what this feels like, but also, on the other side of the coin, if I'm going to be fair, I like Team Taz, but they kind of feel directionless as well. What is Powerhouse Hobbs doing? What is Ricky Starks doing, even though he's the FTW champion? Are we ever going to see Hook in a match? And if not, then Team Taz is just Taz flapping his gums and doing some shit on commentary. Now, the flip side of that is Thunder Rosa versus Jamie Hayter, next match in the TBS Women's Championship. Power game of Hater to start off the match is really, really cool. Thunder Rosa knows how to make the person she's in the ring with look strong as fuck, and I really, really like that. It eventually gets broken up. Her momentum, the momentum gained by the power game at the beginning of this match, is stopped with a slap by Thunder Rosa, and then they get into this slap match, and then they do... I'm starting to notice one thing with Thunder Rosa. In a Thunder Rosa match, if it's her kind of match, there's specifically a lot of high impact stuff on the outside of the ring, and it's really good because you don't get this is why I always back somebody like a Shotzi Blackheart. And when she went on the Lillian Garcia podcast, yes, I've said this a million times, she said she wanted to be the one to bring hardcore or harder hitting wrestling to the women's division in NXT/WWE. Thunder Rosa feels like she does that as well. Look what her and Britt Baker did in the Lights Out match, and this is just what she's doing with Britt Baker's cronies on the way to a mid-card title. Credit to both of these women, because this match went it didn't go forever, but it did go a decent amount of time for them both to get back in the ring. And you reach that point in the match where you have the tired slugfest. And that sounds like a bad thing, and it's not. It's that thing where they're kind of leaning on each other, they're both kind of throwing strikes, but they're also kind of both holding each other up because they're both feeling the match. The adrenaline's worn off, they're just throwing whatever they can. And it takes two people working in sync to make that particular moment in the match work. Baker tries to interfere and help out her crony, but ends up super kicking her. Instead, Thunder Rosa gets a weird modified roll-up and gets the win, and she will face, I believe, the winner of Ruby Soho versus Chris Statlander, and I'm going to get to that in a bit. In the back, Jericho is being interviewed. We don't know what he's being interviewed about because he's interviewed by 2.0 and Garcia, and he just proceeds to rip on them, whichever one is the one that talks more. I think it's Martel. He starts saying something, and Jericho just stops him, and he's like, I can't hear anything you're saying right now because I just can't get over how square your head is. And it's great because you hear the crowd actually chanting "Squarehead," and it doesn't matter that there was no reason for Jericho to be interviewed in the back. He was interviewed in the back to be interrupted by these guys. Now, Mox is out right now. He's out handling his shit, and good for him. And I mean that in the most genuine way possible. When Mox gets back, if we get these three, the 2.0 and Garcia versus Mox, Kingston, and Jericho, I'm going to have a lot of fun with that. I really am. Not only because 2/3 of that match is ex-WWE guys, and it's fine, but whatever. Speaking of ex-WWE guys, I'm an asshole, it's fine. Bryan Danielson versus Colt Cabana. And this was the one, this is where people were saying before, well, Cabana's got a match tonight, and Punk's got a match tonight, and it's in Chicago, and they're from Chicago, and they have an issue, so they're obviously going to get involved in each other's matches. No, you didn't need that. Now, on the other side of the coin, people were saying this was going to be the highlight of the night. I hate to say it that it wasn't for me. Very, very strong match. Two really great wrestlers. Had a great wrestling match. There was no shenanigans, really. Dark Order didn't get involved. Bryan doesn't really have anybody that can get involved on his side of the coin. They had a really good match. Like I said, there was no funny business. There was no this, no that. There was Daniel Bryan hitting hard because he's developing this snarky, passive-aggressive heel character that he's got going on. So everything he does is stiff. Every shot to the face is with a little bit more intent than if he was a babyface, and all that kind of thing. That part where he grabs the arms and stomps the face and all that kind of thing. But it's just... I hate to say that I don't really have anything to bite into here, but it was just two good wrestlers having a good wrestling match. Now, post-match, he cuts a promo about how the fans are fickle, and the last time he showed up here, they were happy to see him, and now it's not so much, etc., etc., etc. He starts talking about how they're in Atlanta, I believe, next week, and there's two more members of the Dark Order that are from Atlanta, and he's going to take them out in their hometown. And rah. Hangman comes out, says, look, man, I get your point. You said you were going to kick in Cabana's head, and you did it. I'm looking for a fight. Chicago's looking for a fight. Why don't we fight right now? Which... It's funny in a way, because AEW is better at this shit than WWE. AEW gives you, 99% of the card before the show comes on the air. Now, I don't personally like that because I like room for surprises and developments and all that sort of thing, but a lot of people seem to love the tune into Dynamite and you know everything that's going to happen on the card before the show starts. I get that. And more of a impromptu hey, we didn't have a main event, but now we do because the champion came out and fucked with somebody is very much a WWE thing. But because of that, for Hangman to come out and say, oh, I'm looking for a fight, why don't we fight right now? A, you sort of groan because you know that's not what they do in AEW. And B, it kind of makes Hangman look a little bit like he's trying to take that number one contendership off Daniel Bryan's shoulders. Like he wants to get the match out of the way. Now, I know that that's not what they're intending. And I know that that's not what the story is telling. Unintentionally, that's how it comes off a little bit. Now, I like Hangman. Happy for him to be champion. I am already, I will admit, very much in the vein of who's going to take it off him. Is it going to be Kingston? Is it going to be MJF? Is Mox going to come back like full of piss and vinegar? Is it going to be Daniel Bryan? Is CM Punk going to throw himself in the mix? Is Adam Cole going to throw himself in the mix so that he's the champion by the time Kenny Omega comes back? And that's... Again, that's no disrespect. I know people love the long-term story of Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, which I still believe was mistaken for long-term storytelling when it was just a story that went on a long time. The guy's good. The guy's really good. I cannot wait to see him versus Danielson. I hope they don't announce that for New Year's Smash, so I'm home to actually see it. I hope they announce it for Winter is Coming, because that'll be a great match. A lot of people I've heard, because of the release of Bray Wyatt and his contract being up, etc., a lot of people are imagining that we're going to go to Winter is Coming, and on the night, the logo is slowly going to melt and change to Wyndham is Coming. I don't know how I feel about that. It would be fine, but then again, I also heard something on social media today. Braun Strowman reacts to the rumor that Bray Wyatt is starting his own company. So there's a lot of irons in the fire. Bronson Reed just joined Impact. I already mentioned it. I'm going to mention it again. He's going to face Josh Alexander. I wish I was there live to see that. Maybe Impact can come to Toronto and I can actually see that match. It'll be fine. Challenge is denied. They trade a couple shots. Bryan knocks him to the outside. He's going to hit the buckshot. Bryan bails. This is, I assume, what the pattern is going to be for the next couple of weeks. Take out a guy from the Dark Order and go forward. I hate to say this because I always have to preface this with I like the Dark Order, they're a fun group, whatever. They do sort of present themselves in the absence of the late Brody Lee, rest in peace and all that. They do sort of present themselves as Hangman's fanboys. So it would be like Bryan Danielson coming out every week and saying, "You in the crowd, are you a Hangman fan? I'll beat you up." So it doesn't do much. It does something to build the story between them, but it doesn't build Bryan Danielson on his own as far as like making himself more and more and more legitimate. He doesn't need to. He's already the number one contender. It's fine. But there are gaps in the game, and I think people are ignoring that a little bit. Rampage this week, the Black Friday, All Fridays Matter edition of Rampage is going to be Garcia versus Kingston, so Garcia's going to die. Britt Baker is taking on Riho, and if Riho wins, she gets a title shot. The last one was Abaddon, and yeah, what happened there? Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta taking on Cole and Fish. Could be fun, could be interesting, could be nothing. It seems like they put Cole with the Bucks, made the Super Click, they had some cool matches, then they got their hands on Fish, so they're like, oh yeah, Cole and Fish are a thing, put them together, and then didn't really know what to do with them, so they're like, best friends are here, kind of, put them on Rampage, it'll be fine. I'm sure the match will be great, don't get me wrong. Again, it's one of those, and I'm going to say this in the next match as well, it is a tag team match that leads to a singles match that I'd like to see, which is Orange Cassidy versus Adam Cole. And next week on Dynamite, we've got Ruby Soho versus Chris Statlander in the next match of the TBS tournament. And I will say, since the first round of the TBS tournament, they have been promoting the fuck out of this match. And it's so interesting and cool to me that they are promoting the hell out of this particular match because it's not even the final. They're promoting this like it's the final. They're promoting this like it's a pay-per-view match. They're promoting this like it's a title match. And it's just it's like, I don't want to say just, because the match is going to be great, and I'm really into both of them. Ruby Riott never got, I will say, even when I was a WWE guy, Ruby Riott never, ever got her due in WWE. She was one of those ones that was doomed to go up to the main roster from NXT without holding any NXT gold, when we know you can't really go backwards. And then from there, just Sarah Logan leaves, and then she leaves, and then Liv Morgan is still there, trying to make it on her own, and very, very sad. And the immediate reaction she got when she came to AEW was fan-fucking-tastic. When Athena or Nixon Newell come to AEW, I hope they are received with the same open arms, because that'll be fucking amazing. Because if you're WWE and you're stupid enough to get rid of Tegan Nox and Ember Moon, you deserve what you've got coming to you. And I said it, the weirdest loss they could suffer right now is the Usos, and that's probably not going to happen, but they're going to lose pretty much everything else. That's all I'm saying. I never did that video on the releases. Can you imagine how I feel about the releases? Soho and Statlander next week should be the main event. The way they're promoting the fuck out of it, the way that both of these women, like, there's no heel in this match. I mean, I'm sure Ruby can come in a little grittier in the match just to give it that dynamic. They're both faces. They're both so fucking over. Statlander as an AEW creation, for lack of a better term, and Ruby Soho for not an AEW creation, but somebody we're so happy to have there now. They are so fucking over. This match has been promoted to the hilt. This should be the main event. And I'm not saying give the women's division a token main event here and there. I'm saying, look at these two women. Look how fucking over they are. Look how important this match is in the grand scheme of creating this mid-card championship. And put this in the main event. If you don't put this in the main event of Dynamite next week, then you really need to question what you're doing. Now, we go on to our main event, which is Malachi Black, Andrade El Idolo, and FTR taking on Death Triangle and Cody Rhodes. Now, beginning of this match, when they all sort of get in the ring, they're all filing in, they're all making their entrances. Cody Rhodes' entrance takes 10 years, it's fine. There's a stare down between Rey Fenix and Malachi Black, which I thought was really interesting, because immediately I'm like, that would be a fun singles match. And as this match played out, I don't have play-by-play or anything like that for the match. The match was just, look at the guys in the match. The match was fucking fantastic. What else do you want me to say? Specifically, why are we beeping? Why is this a thing? It's fine. Specifically, Rey Fenix and Malachi Black, though. I really want to see this match, which is unfortunate, because Malachi Black is focused on Cody Rhodes still, I think, and Fenix is a great singles guy, but more seen as a tag team guy, more seen as a trios guy when those trios titles comes along. But I hope somewhere along the way, in a prominent spot, we get Malachi Black and Rey Fenix as a singles spectacle. Towards the end of the match, when the tag team klaxon sounds and everybody's in all at once, Cody does accidentally hit Pac in the face. I'm sure that's going to develop into something later on down the line. We get a stare down between Tully and Arn. And then Jose decides to get himself in the mix and just gets his ass kicked by whoever else was passing by. And then Tully and Arn sort of step back out of the ring like our part of the match is over type thing. Malachi Black comes in with the mist, followed by the hammerlock DDT by Andrade, and the heels get the win. And the heels just stand tall in the ring to end the night. There's no further shenanigans. There's no further run-ins or brawls or anything like that. It was we put all the shenanigans in the match, so there weren't any shenanigans after the match. The heels got the win, because that's what shenanigans does. And I don't know what you do from here. Does Cody go even more tweener and have a feud with Death Triangle? Does he just feud with Pac? Do the Lucha Brothers and FTR continue their thing? Do Black and Andrade become a tag team? There's a million ways to go from here, and I couldn't tell you where they're going, I'm not going to lie. We got a couple shows that we're building to. There's Night of the Belts or something that's coming up. TNT has them doing a special Saturday show that's coming up. So they're going to be building to that. They're going to be building to Winter is Coming, and they're going to be building to New Year's Smash. So, and they're also building to the end of this TBS tournament, and they're building to their debut actually on TBS. So AEW, and I say this with respect, AEW has a lot of irons in the fire, and I hope none of those things that I just mentioned water the other one down. Hope that makes sense. Like I say, I don't have many notes on the main event. The main event was a lot of fun. Typical I really thought Alex Abrahantes was going to get in there so that you would have Tully and Arn and Jose and Alex just all, like, stupid punching each other, for lack of a better term. Because other than that, as boring, or as exciting as it sounds, it's sort of boring to review in the sense of you had 8 awesome wrestlers putting on an awesome fireworks, like, cocaine special like AEW does. Not a bad way to end the show, though. So I'm going to leave it there. Losing my voice a little bit, as you guys can probably tell. If you're finding me for the first time on Rumble, go ahead and punch that Rumble button. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. Right now, I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there. Talk down there. Start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.